Welcome to Plano's Political Pitbull Podcast. I am Esther.
And I'm Ruth.
We have a lot to go over today, so let's get started. Bills that are still waiting for the governor's veto: SB 15 and SB 840. SB 15 and SB 840. I made a mistake last week and I accidentally said SB 40.
Oh.
I realized that when I was going back and listening to it. Well, they still have not been signed by the governor. This is a good thing. So there is still time to write him and tell him to veto those two bills. That will basically kill your town zoning. SB 15. This is the max residential lots of 3,000 square feet. And SB 840 converts commercial to residential without rezoning. We have talked about these two bills before. And just to show you that smaller lots does not equal smaller price tags on houses, I found 3 single-family houses in Plano that are on smaller lots, smaller footage, but larger price tag. So our first home is on Secluded Avenue in Plano. This is in West Plano. It has 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. It is 2,878 square feet and on a measly 1,612 square foot lot. I swear I saw a picture of the house next to its neighbor. A little person could not lie down in between the houses. There's no room. You might as well just put them together because it's ridiculous. I don't even think you could walk. Like if you wanted to walk in between the houses, you'd have to go sideways.
Wow. Might as well just put them together at that point.
Yeah. So it was built in 2021. It has a price tag of, get a load of this, $1,250,000.
Who's gonna spend that much on a small home?
Who can afford to spend that much?
If you can spend that much, you're not buying that kind of home. You're buying like a luxury mansion thing.
Well, if the person who comes from a luxury mansion wants to downsize, maybe, but that's going to be your buyers. It's definitely not going to be the affordable middle class price tag. So that is a whopping $434 a square foot. Your monthly mortgage for that, with a down payment of $250,000, you could go up to Salina and get a house for $250,000. Maybe a little further north. 6.775% interest rate. Your property taxes and your insurance would be $9,255 a month. It's almost, you're talking almost $9,500 a month before you do anything else. That is just mortgage, taxes, insurance. That's it. Mm-hmm. So our second candidate, which is on the same street, it is slightly bigger. At 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, so each bedroom gets a bathroom plus a little powder room for your guests. Slightly bigger at a whopping 2,936 square feet on a 2,222 square foot lot. So smaller than the 3,000 square foot lot that were in the bill, okay? also built in 2021. This has a price tag of $1,275,000, which comes to $434 a square foot. Your mortgage on this would be $9,478 a month, and that includes your property taxes and your home insurance, with $255,000 down at same interest rate as the last one, 6.775%.
What? Why are the smaller homes that likely don't have that much yard space also so expensive? What's so special about these homes?
So first of all, they're not that old. They're only built in 2021. All right. They're in Plano, which the land is worth a lot. What are the three things in real estate? Location, location, location. You pick up that house and move it to Anna, you're going to get a totally different price tag. It's also in West Plano, which is even more expensive, close to the Legacy West area. So that land is even more expensive. So you see why just because you have a smaller lot does not mean you're going to have affordable homes, which is the idea of SB 15. They think that if we can get a smaller lot, we're going to build more homes, we'll have a lower price tag. No, because the materials still cost more money than they did 20 years ago. And the land costs more. By the way, both homes have an HOA fee of $171 a month. So that is in addition to all those other, that hefty $9,000 plus a month, you also have to pay an HOA fee. And deal with probably a Gestapo HOA. That alone, I wouldn't do that. So our last house, this is in the middle of Plano, so the land is a little cheaper. It is on Galveston Street. This is new construction. Now this is what they want. They want new construction. They want more homes to be built. The price tag is not exactly middle class. So this is smaller than the other two. So that's good. You would think that'd be cheaper. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. 2,015 square feet. It is a single family attached. So there is no space in between, like a townhouse. It is $549,000. So over $500,000. $272 a square foot. This monthly mortgage is slightly more affordable because obviously you have a lesser price tag at $3,729 a month, which does include the property taxes and the insurance. But you've got to fork over $109,800 for your down payment. And again, 30-year fixed. These were all 30-year fixed mortgages at a 6.775% interest rate. Your biggest problem here, one of the biggest problems, is that 6.775% interest rate. If the interest rate came down, the price per month would come down. But you still got to fork over 20%. So 20% of whatever your cost of the house is going to be a lot.
So all this really tells me is that this bill is not going to necessarily solve the problem that they want it to solve.
Correct.
Because the thing they think there's a housing shortage, right? And there's not enough housing for the amount of influx of people we're getting because everyone, for some reason, wants to move here.
There is only a housing shortage in certain areas of Texas. Those certain areas are those near the big cities. Go out to the rural areas, they're actually having a population decrease. Nobody moving out there, people are actually moving out. Theoretically speaking, yes, if you increase the supply of something to meet the demand, the prices will go down.
Except in the terms of land, that's not the case because
Correct.
You can't increase land. There's a limited supply.
Right. And Plano is the most dense city in Texas. You can't cram in enough housing to bring down the cost. You also have the cost of the materials, and that is not going down. You're still talking about the wood, the stuff it takes to build a home.
She doesn't know what to.
I not off the top of my head here, but
the labor itself.
The labor costs are up. Those ain't coming down anytime soon. I don't think they'll ever go back down. So, the flooring, carpet, name whatever has to go into a house. All of that is not going down. You cannot necessarily increase the supply of those things. If you would have to increase not just the supply of the land, but you have to increase the supply of the stuff that goes into the house.
Plumbing and electricity.
Yes. And plumbers and electricians.
And then the inspector.
Yeah, and the towns are actually increasing those inspector fees. So that's going to be more money because nobody's going to eat that. The contractor's just going to put that right back in the house. So you can try to cram us in like sardines. You're not going to decrease these home values. Real estate is more than just, it's a different animal. It's not like a pencil or technology where that stuff, comes down in price. Now, value of land does come down, but that's usually because people stop buying.
This is a little off topic, but you gotta come up with a different idiom because crammed in like sardines is really getting old.
All right. Like tuna fish? No good.
Just maybe think about it, because I don't know. I'm personally getting tired of it.
Okay,
I hear it too much.
All right. How about like chickens in the cages?
No, we'll talk about it later.
Well, fine. We'll think about it. All right. So, as I said, SB 15, SB 840. Please, please ask your governor to veto these bills because they're not going to do what the legislature thinks they're going to do, bring down prices. And all they're going to do is increase the population and put more strain on our infrastructure and our taxes. So, another bill that was brought to my attention today is HB 24. And it is getting the Bad Bill of the Week award. Yes, yes, yes. Bad Bill of the Week. So this one, the governor has not signed yet. So we still have time. It is related to procedures for changes to a zoning regulation or district boundary. Wait for it. Let me explain. So, if a zoning board wants to change an existing zoning regulation that will have the effect of allowing more residential development than previous regulation and will apply uniformly to each parcel in one or more zoning districts. Also, adopt a new zoning code or zoning map that will apply to the entire municipality or adopt a zoning overlay district that will have the effect of allowing more residential development than allowed without the overlay and will include an area along a major roadway, highway, or transit corridor. A perfect place to put residential, right next to that highway. Breathe in those nice car fumes. So basically, this has to do with adding more residential. So, the zoning board wants to add more residential. Here's what they're going to do now. So, before the 15th day, before the date of the hearing, you have to have a public hearing, notice of the time and place of the hearing must be published in an official newspaper or a newspaper of general circulation in that municipality. And here's the new part. See, they put and. So there's no or, it's and. So that means they have to do both these things now. If the municipality maintains an internet website published on the municipality's internet website. So they have to do both those. They have to put it on their website, and they have to now also put it in the newspaper. That's a good thing. We like that. Here comes the bad part. So, people often will go and they will protest this zoning change, especially neighbors who don't want it. It's going to affect them. Maybe they think it's going to affect them poorly. A protest of a proposed change to a zoning regulation or district boundary must be written and signed by the owners of at least 20% of the area of the lots or land covered by the proposed change, except as provided by subdivision 3, at least 20% of the area of the lots or land immediately adjoining the area covered by the proposed change and extending 200 feet from that area. Or is important. At least 60% of the area of the lots or land immediately adjoining the area covered by the proposed change and extending 200 feet from that area if the proposed change has the effect of allowing more residential development than the existing zoning regulation. Or,
oh my gosh,
district boundary and does not have the effect of allowing additional commercial or industrial uses unless the additional use is limited to the first floor of any residential development and does not exceed 35% of the overall development. So, what is all that gobbledygook?
Please, it was just a bunch of word vomit.
Okay. Who usually comes out and protests a zoning change? The neighbors who live next to it.
Yes.
Okay. So right now, if you live within 200 feet of a place that's going to get a zoning change, they send out letters. Cities will send out letters asking you if you agree or you disagree. And then you write back. You can write back, send it back to them. Just say, I agree or I disagree, and send it back to the city. What they're saying is they're going to increase the number of people that it's going to take to trigger a supermajority. Let me explain. So, right now, if enough people within 200 feet of a property that's getting rezoned write in, you need a supermajority vote, or 3/4 of all members of the governing body to vote yes for the zoning change in order for it to pass. What the state is saying is you need 60% of the landowners or the property owners within 200 feet to basically say they don't want this. Then that will trigger the supermajority. Basically, simply put, it's going to make it a lot easier to pass zoning changes the neighbors don't want. Okay?
How?
Because if you only need a simple majority, if you only need 5 people who are on council or 5 people who are on zoning to vote yes for the zoning change, that's a lot easier than getting a supermajority. You need 6 or you need 7, depending on what the percentage is.
But
Or if you only need a simple majority, that's a lot easier to get than a supermajority.
wait, is the bill saying they need a simple or a super?
They're saying it in both cases. They say 3/4 of all members of the governing body to protest for a protest, or a majority of all members, 3/4 of all members of the governing body for a protest described in 1 or 2. Okay, that's the first ones I read, changing existing zoning regulation, okay, and adopt a new zoning code. 2, a majority of all members of the governing body for a protest described in number 3, that is adopt a zoning overlay district. That only requires a simple majority. But
I'm so confused.
okay, let me try this a different way. Okay.
So you're saying on one hand, the bill says that if 60% of the neighbors say we don't want this, then in order for it to pass, it needs a supermajority.
Yes.
That sounds like it's making it harder.
No, it's making it harder. It's increasing the percentage of people who need to write in and say they don't want this, that live within 200 feet of the property that's getting rezoned.
That's what I was confused about, because I was like, wait, why are you talking about just the council? I'm thinking about the people, I was so confused because you were talking about two different things.
Because they're both in here. All right, you need 60%, okay, of the people who live near this development or own property near it to write in and say, we don't want this, in order to basically hit that magic number.
Well, what was it before? Was there a percentage that
lower.
Would cause the...
Yeah, it was lower. Percentage was lower. Now they're upping it.
I thought there was no percentage. I thought people would just write in and then they could ignore it.
No. If you have to live within 200 feet. Now, interestingly, it's like, well, sometimes there is nobody within 200 feet. Like the Willow Bend Mall, there is literally nobody within. There's nobody living there. So, are business owners going to protest that? Usually not. So they're making it harder for people. Let me rephrase. They're making it easier for developers to come in and get things rezoned. And then you just need a simple majority. That's if you want to change the overlay district.
Why can't they just make it simple?
Oh,
like the wording.
Never.
Because I didn't get any of that.
All right. Well,
from the first time you read it.
Yes. Well,
I also just don't process things when it's read to me. Mm-hmm. So there's also that. Mm-hmm. But the
legally speaking
didn't help.
Yeah, okay. Well, I like to read it from the bill because I want people to know that I'm not making it up. Okay? So that's why I read it from the bill. Some people will understand it, some people won't. Some people will have to go read it for themselves, which is fine. It's called HB 24. You can go read it for yourselves on Texas Legislature Online, Texas Legislature Online. The only other thing they changed was they added regulations for signage, which we already do here, but now the signs have to be specific sizes. So if there's a zoning change coming up, there has to be a sign that goes on the property or near the property. And it's usually zoning change hearing. And then they tell you where to go to find out. And they give you that zoning change number.
Oh, I thought you were saying they had to put a sign that the zoning changed, and I was like, they already do that. But you're talking about informing the people.
Yes, they do that now. Plano does that now too, but that's by law. I don't think they do it out of their own kindness. This is just saying that the Zoning Commission shall post a notice sign in a public right-of-way for a change initiated by the municipality and affects multiple properties or the property affected by the change.
So is this... Oh, sorry, continue.
Yes. And they give the dimensions of the sign.
Of course.
So the sign has to be at least 24 inches long by 48 inches wide. I'm surprised they don't tell you the font size. Because, they could make the sign, really big, and then the font size really, really small so that when you're driving by, you can't read it. And the other thing is the zoning commission may elect to provide, maintain, and pay for a notice sign under this section or require an applicant for a change in zoning classification to provide, maintain, and pay for a sign. So the city can say, all right, we'll pay for the sign. Or we're going to get the applicant to pay for the sign.
So I'm just double
which
checking.
Is going to increase the price of the development.
I'm just checking to make sure I understand. This is a sign. They're saying you have to put out a sign on like an intersection or like
near the property or on the property.
Yeah. Where it can be seen from the road.
Yes.
That a hearing is going to take place on rezoning this area.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And in Plano, what they do is and I think they do this everywhere, they say, hearing on zoning change, I think, or zoning change hearing, and they give the zoning number, the application number, basically. Planning and zoning case number 2025-1. Something like that. And that's usually the year and then the first case or the second case. Usually it's gotten the second number there is after the dash is usually like what number the application came in at. So if you're the first applicant in 2025, you get number 1.
You said that Plano, you've said it a couple times, Plano already does this.
Yes.
So it doesn't really affect us. Why?
Well, the new part,
yeah.
They can charge the applicant now for the sign.
Oh, wait, I didn't ask a question first.
Okay.
Plano already does it.
Mm-hmm.
You said probably not out of their own volition they have to.
Mm-hmm.
What's making them have to?
So there's already a rule.
If there's no state rule.
No, this is changing existing law. Okay? They're changing the dimensions of the sign, and they are changing the fact or adding the fact that the applicant or the city can pay for it. So if you read the bill, if you go to Texas Legislature Online and you read the bill, you will see words that are underlined. When they're underlined, that means that is new. So they're changing the size of the signs, making them, I guess, more uniform, and they are adding that who's going to pay for it. That part. You still have time. Tell the governor to veto this bill. While some of it is good, some of it's very bad. We don't want to increase the number of people you need to get a supermajority of votes on council to stop a zoning bill. The neighbors, the property next to you is going to affect your property. If my neighbors decide that they want to tear down their house and put in a bar, that's going to affect me. That's going to affect my property.
Given the other bills that came out of legislation this session, I think they want to make it easier to rezone.
They do. This has been a theme in the legislature this year. We want to make it easier for developers to come in and build. We want to make it easier for zoning changes to happen. We want to make it easier for people to cram in as many houses as they want to. I get the motivation, if what they're saying is true.
Cram us in like we're in New York City.
The only motivation they claim to have is you can't tell people what they can and cannot do with their property. That was Senator Hughes' thing. And I said, I'm sorry, I beg to disagree with you. I don't think you would like a strip club next to your house, Senator Hughes. The other thing they were saying is we need to make more housing and we need to make it more affordable.
Well, they got the more housing down, but not the more affordable.
Right. You'll get more housing. Whether or not it'll be more affordable, no. It's going to depend on where it is. So again, we have a link to the governor's website on our website, planospoliticalpitbull.com, and you can click on the button, Contact Governor, and tell the governor to veto these bills. HB 24, SB 15, and SB 840. Do you know which bill got the most mail sent to the governor asking him to veto it?
I vaguely remember it had nothing to do with zoning.
Nope, nothing to do with zoning. Nothing to do with the border. Nothing to do with lobbying. Nothing to do with any of really the Republican priorities. I mean, the governor is a Republican, so you would think he'd want to be getting a lot of mail about the Republican priorities. But no, that wasn't, nothing like that. No. He got boxes and boxes and boxes full of letters. I'm not sure if they were snail mail or just printed off emails that the staff had to print out. On the bill banning THC and heavily regulating CBD.
That's right, yeah.
Now, for those who may not be aware, THC is the substance in marijuana that makes you high.
You're not going to take away my drugs.
Exactly. No. I even wrote down Cremasins like sardines in my notes.
Yeah, I know. You're obsessed.
Yeah.
Get more vocabulary.
It's a good metaphor. The bill heavily regulates CBD, which is intoxicating, supposedly oil or substance that comes from the marijuana plant as well. And, take away my zoning. Apparently not a big deal, but take away my drugs and now we're going to have a problem.
You don't understand people.
I don't. I thought it was illegal already, THC. Apparently there's a loophole in the law. I think they outlawed cannabis in the law, but not THC. So what was happening was people was making edibles with THC in it.
People
were making edibles or are making edibles with THC in it. And it's not grandma's from the 1960s marijuana we're talking about here, which had a very low level of THC. These have very high levels of THC. So high that people are overdosing and dying, or getting extremely sick, getting extremely anxious, having mental health issues from it. So they want to close this loophole that apparently they didn't realize there was a loophole. But some smart person out there, I guess, read the law and they said, wait a minute, they didn't ban THC. THC is legal.
There's always a loophole in these laws. They don't think of everything.
They'll find a loophole there as well in the new one. I will say the CBD, I'm not quite sure why they want to regulate that so strongly. It's going to be very expensive to own a shop or sell CBD. They want, if memory serves me correctly, I do not have this bill in front of me, but it takes a licensing fee per year of $10,000. Plus, when you first open, you have to pay $20,000. So for the first year, you're going to fork over $30,000 to the government to sell CBD.
You know, this is also just going to increase the amount of illegal drug use because it's not going to stop. This isn't going to stop people. We both know this.
I know it's not going to stop them. I mean, I really don't have a dog in this hunt. I mean, I'm actually more concerned about the CBD. I mean, as far as I'm aware, unless somebody tells me wrong, CBD is supposed to be for pain, and like I had it in a cream. I didn't think it worked, actually, I have to say. I tried it. I had an ache in my shoulder. It wouldn't go away. So like somebody was selling this little, it looked like a little balming cream, and you're supposed to rub it in, and it's supposed to take the pain away. It didn't work. So I don't know. I'm not sure if you can eat it. I don't think I would. So it's not supposed to make you high. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't have a dog in this hunt. I don't do drugs, never did them, not interested. I like to know what I put in my body. So I don't like the fact that they're heavily regulating the CBD. You know, it's just, you're basically going to put those folks out of business, and then you're going to have a black market if people really need that. It didn't really work for me, so.
Gonna have a black market either way.
Yes.
You regulate something. Oh, there comes the black market. Because people aren't gonna stop.
Yes. Well, apparently in downtown Dallas, there is a hemp store. And it's actually called Weed Shop, something like that, or the Weed Store. But they don't sell weed, they sell THC products. So, very weird. I don't get it. I don't get it. That takes some chutzpah. No. But that's what got the most me. You know, drugs. Don't take away the drugs.
It's not surprising. I don't know why you're surprised.
I guess I'm just disappointed that that's what people care about the most.
It's not surprising, though.
No, it's not surprising, I guess. I mean, if you're addicted to something, then yeah, I guess you're going to care about it. Or if you need it for medical reasons, and they're doing studies and stuff, I think that's still open to interpretation depending on
It's
the study.
more important to people's lives than zoning.
I can see that.
It's more in the forefront of the brain.
Yeah, that's just sort of disappointing to me. No, I think I'd rather them be care more about having local control over your city than whether or not you can get an edible THC gummy. No, but
Zoning's more of an abstract problem. You're not actively thinking about it every day in your daily life.
at least most people.
You're a special case.
I am. All right. On to our sponsor. Our sponsor is Southwest Pain Management. Southwest Pain Management takes care of most chronic pain without pain pills. Their goal is to get you back to doing the things you love. They are also the world's leading long COVID experts. Dr. Groisman sees people from all over the world to treat their long COVID. Southwest Pain Management is in Plano. Please go to their website, reliefbeginshere.com. That's reliefbeginshere.com to see all that they do. And now for the very important dog, which is still Gemma. She is still available at Plano Animal Shelter. Gemma is a friendly dog who is about 3 years old. She is a very sweet and oh so playful too. Gemma will make a great companion for you. She was never claimed by her owner and wants a new home. Gemma is an affectionate dog, and she is at the Plano Animal Shelter. So if you would like to take a look at Gemma, please go to our website, www.planospoliticalpitbull.com, and to click on the link, Pit Bulls Up for Adoption. That is all, folks, for today. Like, share, and subscribe. Help us out with those algorithms, please. This is Esther.
And this is Ruth.
For Plano's Political Pitbull, signing off.